Okay, folks, so someone put this compilation together, which I thought was pretty insightful that I have to show here. And concerning the fact that, in America, most important election is coming up, as they claim to say, which it kind of is the most important election in the fact that it decides whether or not that we're going to throw the wrench once again into the clog of the deep state, which is what Donald Trump eventually kind of is. That was the whole point of 2016. That was the whole point of why people lined up in droves to vote for him, a game show host, and taking another 4 years of establishment crap, is whether we want to throw that wrench again to disrupt the system, disrupt the status quo that is already doing the most heinous work possible. And that's not even really defense of Trump, because Trump, is a wild card, meaning that he can go against the establishment, but he also sides a lot with the establishment. He sides a lot with the Adelsons when it comes to Israel. He sides a lot with certain policies of corporations. So it is just a crazy conundrum that we're in right now. And people just feel so lost. They feel so stressed out. But it's also more alarming in the fact that there is something beyond this election that needs to be worried about, beyond just deciding who is the lesser evil of this atrocity of the deep state. Because as this is going on, we know about the mass censorship regime. We know about the DOD documents that have been released about how they want to lethally go against civilians, how they want to attack them. We know about the heinous measures that they're placing into arresting people that won't comply with government mandates. We know about all this stuff. And this video is going to compile all the different areas, not just in the United States, but around the world, that are enacting the similar measures. And this is what I've been stating for a while now, is that isn't it interesting that the policies in the United States are very similar to the policies in Canada, similar to the policies in Australia, similar to the policies in the UK. It's almost like they're operating under the exact same format brought to you by a higher power. It's almost like these countries don't actually have sovereignty, and they're just operating under the same playbook of some higher power. And you're about to see exactly that.
We are living in very, very scary times.
A woman has been arrested by Cheshire Police in relation to an inaccurate information on social media.
Today, some other people have been given whopping great big terms in prison for social media posts.
I guarantee you will regret taking part in this disorder, whether directly or those whipping up this action online.
Scotland's new hate crime laws have come into force. Some people could be investigated by police if they misgender someone online.
How many people do you think were arrested in Britain for things they said on social media last year?
I have no idea.
3,300.
Really?
Police will be the source of truth and not social media.
The U.S. is a tough one because, we have the notion of the First Amendment.
There are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda, and whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
If people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block. It's really hard to govern today.
So my biggest concern is that your view has the First Amendment hamstringing the government in significant ways.
The First Amendment is not absolute. It does not protect any single thing anyone says. And there are limits, and that's important. And what this committee has been trying to do for the last year and a half is to chill the federal government from monitoring what is going on social media.
And pretend that they know what our founding fathers meant when they drafted the Constitution. I use the word pretend because who the heck would know?
Choices that were made in adopting the Constitution have come.
Who would know what they drafted on that document if they bothered to read that document? Who really knows about the First Amendment than the people that wrote it down on paper. Jesus Christ. I don't know if they're just so insanely psychotic that they're showing how dumb they are, or if they're actually just this dumb. Like, I don't know what to make of this. I don't know if it's just pure sinister that they're so arrogant to basic understanding of things, or if they're really just that stupid. They're really just that stupid to say, I don't know what's in the First Amendment. We don't have the Founding Fathers here. Maybe go read the Constitution. Maybe go read the actual document and see verbatim exactly what it says. That people have the right for free expression, freedom to assemble, freedom of speech.
To haunt us. Isn't it time to start thinking of a new constitution?
Founders in 1787, if they came back in 2024, the first thing they would say, I think, is, our system did not work. What happened?
And how do you balance free speech and versus crazy stuff that, got people not to take vaccines, for example?
Right. There's no guarantee to free speech on.
Yeah, how do we deal with the fact that I, Bill Gates, am losing money because people are talking online? That's the system we need to focus on. How is it I'm losing money because people are talking too much? That's the concern of an asshole like him. That's the concern of a psychotic sociopath like Bill Gates. Not the fact that, hey, why is the country getting sicker? Why is the world just becoming even more worse? Let's actually discuss it like genuine adults, like people have been doing for centuries. We wouldn't have the technology and the advances we have today if we had censorship. That's why people went against the grain. That's why people thought outside the box. You don't think that Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, Nikola Tesla had smeared merchants surrounding them, saying how stupid they were, how crazy they were, how they need to be shut out? Well, guess what? Those crazy people then moved on past that, and we got to better understanding of the world we live in. That's the beauty of free speech. That's the beauty of it. And you have to be principled in that matter, meaning that you have to protect everybody's right of free speech, regardless if you like it or not. Because your preference does not matter to the First Amendment. Your preference is absolutely disregarded when it comes to protecting the First Amendment.
Misinformation.
Musk is sort of trying to pretend sort of freedom of speech is some absolute right. It's never been absolute right.
Moderation is a propaganda word for censorship.
They want Elon Musk gone, X turned off, and freedom of speech stamped out.
Brazilian Supreme Court Justice Alexandra de Moraes instructed X to crack down on users accused of spreading misinformation. In his decision, Moraes said, quote, X shall refrain from disobeying any court order already issued.
Elon Musk really showing contempt for the government and its approach on this issue. What's your take?
He has absolutely no social conscience. Someone like that should be in jail and the key be thrown away. That bloke should not have a right to be out there on his own ideology platform.
This bloke.
They're saying that Elon Musk has no social conscience compared to any other billionaire. Compared to, people like Jeff Bezos that they propped up, or Bill Gates, or Warren Buffett. But because Elon Musk, who is no different than any other billionaire, he's also in malpractice, union busting, in practices of coordinating with the CIA and getting government contracts. Yeah, they don't even mention a word about that, but they mention the fact that Elon Musk bought a social media platform and allowed people to talk. Oh my God, what a horrible thing that is. What a lucrative, horrible thing that is. Don't you realize people are disgusting and awful? They might say words that are conflicting with me. How just no social conscience to him. As right now, they're defending Liz Cheney. They're defending Liz Cheney because Trump made a joke at her. Trump confronted her by saying that she was a war criminal and a warmonger and made a joke about how there should be a bunch of barrels pointing at her. And people are defending Liz Cheney, the daughter of the mass murderer Satanist himself, the family that covered up the most heinous act of America and continues to be a warmongering creans of the establishment. She is a war witch. She is the absolute worst of the worst, and they're defending her. Defending her. So excuse me if I don't believe your moral consciousness. Excuse me if I don't believe that you have no social consciousness. As you're trying to dismantle Elon Musk, of all people. Really? Really? Of all people. And not even in a good way. There's a lot of things I could say about Elon Musk, but him owning Twitter and allowing people to speak, oh my God, that's like the dumbest thing, the dumbest argument to make against Elon Musk.
Thinks he's above the law and above common decency. This shouldn't be a matter of the law. It should be a matter of people doing the right thing.
To provide users with...
It shouldn't matter about the law. It should be a matter about doing good things. You know, like illegal wars. It doesn't matter if we're slaughtering the most people. We're doing the right thing. Humanitarian, right? We're overthrowing people's democracy, killing them off, extracting their resources so that corporations can then take those resources and sell it to us suckers. Because that's the good. That's the good. It doesn't matter about the law. We're doing good things. And that's why scumbags like me defend it the most. Holy crap.
with corrections to disinformation and misinformation. And Mr. Musk, you obviously don't know what I'm made of.
The privilege of using those words in that way should probably be taken from him.
Because some people in your crowd thought they might have been shadow banned by Facebook. I mean, for God's sakes.
This is the third election in a row in which Russia has tried to interfere to try to get Trump into the White House.
He's also got a brand new, very, very powerful tool, which is Elon Musk and X. We have Elon Musk talking directly to the Kremlin.
This is a matter of corporate responsibility. Twitter should be held accountable and shut down that site. It is a matter of safety and corporate accountability.
Deep fakes and manipulation of elections. That hurts democracy, and we think this law is sound and will be upheld in the courts.
That was Gavin Newsom talking about how deep fakes are destroying democracy. Deep fakes. Not corporate lobbying, not foreign interference by AIPAC and the Israeli intelligence. That doesn't bring to attention any ruin of democracy. The fact that we don't even live in democracy. You can see it right now. They're burning ballot boxes. They're making it harder and restricting people to even vote. What democracy are we saving in America by restricting people the ability to share a meme? What democracy are you saving by restricting people the ability to joke about how stupid your democracy is? It's because it's not. It's not a democracy. It's an oligarchy disguised itself as a democracy to keep people complacent, to keep people silent, so they don't uproar, so they don't revolt against the hideous system that is the oligarchy used to oppress them. Because regardless of who you vote for, red or blue, no matter who, either way, they're going to screw you. And that's why they're doing all these tactics, because they don't want people communicating with each other, sharing information, acknowledging each other, and unifying together to stand up against all this crap. They want to keep people in the dark. They want to keep people stupid. They want to keep people complacent as much as possible. Even if it goes as far back as going back to the Dark Ages, where they had to burn books. Keep literature away from the peasants. Because God forbid, if us slums ever got ourselves educated to understand how the real world works, God forbid all hell breaks loose. Then we might actually challenge things. Then we might actually critically think about the way we live. We might analyze the world. We might actually take in and notice the things that we're watching and seeing and unfolding. That's why they want to do all this. It has nothing to do with safety. It's nothing to do with national security. It's all to keep you in control. And if they can't do this, that is when they bring out the real force. That's why they bring out DOD Tactic 5240, where they want to lethally attack civilians, how they're arresting people in the UK, how they're arresting people here in Canada, because they're losing control of the narrative. When you lose control of the narrative, you lose control of the population. That's what all this is about.
Better to vaccinate so that the body is inoculated. Pre-bunking is the same approach.
Pre-bunking.
Because disinformation relies on people passing it on to others.
So we're regularly making sure social media platforms are aware of the latest narratives. You shouldn't be banned from one platform and not others for providing misinformation out there.
Information isn't truth. Most information in the world is junk. Most information is lies and fantasies and fictions. This is why you need institutions like newspapers, like universities, like courts, who specialize in sifting through.
No right.
That may be one of the dumbest arguments I've heard about this video here. That information does not equal truth. In order to have truth, we need institutions that regulate what information is truthful. The whole point of why we have freedom of speech, the whole point of everything, is that we hear from different sides of different opinions, different arguments, different information, so that we can calculate all the information, and then as human beings, as individuals with our own minds, our own cortexes, our own ideas, are allowed to interpret all this information and make a critical analysis based off the understanding of the information that we have, that we cultivate. That's the whole point of all this. Just like when they say, believe the science, trust the science. You don't trust the science. You make a hypothesis, and then you test that argument to see if that's true. You don't just take the hypothesis as is. You test it. You analyze it. You do data. You do peer reviews. You take that even further. You have people that challenge that science, and then they do studies, and then it's a continuous process. That's why it took so many years for people to understand gravity, the theory of relativity, the invention of the combustible engine. They don't just believe the science. No, that's what religion is. That's what a religious cult is. Believe us or we'll snap you down. That's what a cult does. Follow our path, do as we say, or we're going to take you down. That's what these people are. They're cult leaders. And they're more scary than any Scientologist or I'm trying to think of that one from the 70s that went to that island and did a mass delete of everybody. I think his name was Jones. I don't know. Anyway, this is far more damning.
Given to the people of the United States is absolute, and that includes the right to free speech.
We do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material. And then follow up with identification arrests and so forth.
We are not trying to censor speech. We are simply trying to create factually correct information.
To try to correct the facts is to infringe on my right of free speech. Protective measures were taken to take down disinformation about vaccines and about the...
So why would you have to take down the disinformation if you're just trying to correct the facts? Again, if people are wrong, they're allowed to be wrong. People will say, oh, you're wrong about this. Here's the argument for it. That's how you dismantle disinformation. That's how you dismantle free speech, is you add more to the context. You don't just get rid of them and hope they go away. Because the more you do that, the more you get into the anger and frustration of a lot of these people, and that's where you get revolts. That's when you get uprisings. Again, name a time in anywhere in human history that censorship actually improves the lives of people, that actually flourishes society. It doesn't. It does not. But these people that are so power mad hungry to stay in control are so desperate to cling on to their power, to sit in their ivory chairs one more time, that they will take down anybody that stands in their way. Even the most correct people, even the most people we should be listening to. You know, like the doctor who created the technology to get us the COVID vaccines. Dr. Robert Malone, Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Pierre Corey, the most trusted physicians on American soil. And they silenced them. They silenced them. Why? So we can bring on Bill Gates. Mr. Not a medical doctor, not even finished college, Bill Gates, to lecture us about vaccines.
Nature of the virus and about protective measures we could take, including masks. Again, something should be celebrated.
The government is now even relaunching a secretive pandemic-era spy agency to monitor social media.
We need some regulation on social media. That's the bottom line. They haven't done anything in 30 years.
We see this fight against social media platforms doing content moderation, and we see it empowered by Congress and people who are, powerful people, Elon Musk, et cetera. And what does that do? That makes our nation less safe.
I think that we can't be afraid of putting controls on social media in the name of First Amendment free speech.
You're going to pull something off the internet and collude with a social media platform to make sure Americans don't see it. Who determines what's false?
Congressman, we don't do that.
That's not true. That is not true. That is not what the court has found. This is not a Republican talking point. This is what the document.
So at the end there, that was kind of a interesting point that they had there. And that's from House Speaker Mike Johnson, who stated exactly the point. Who decides what's right and what's false information? Who decides what's correct and what isn't? Because what if they're wrong? Everyone's allowed to be wrong. We're all human beings. We all make mistakes. And if we don't know about our mistakes, if we don't know what's right and what's wrong for ourselves, how do we grow as people from that? How do we as human beings allow ourselves to grow if we don't understand our own context, if we don't understand what is the different opinions, what is the falsehoods that are being spread? We're not even allowed to discuss it. We don't even know what dangerous falsehoods there are because they won't allow people to see and acknowledge different voices, because it's all about control. It has nothing to do with safety. It has nothing to do with anything. This is the longest going battle throughout human history, regardless if it's social media or not, because it's the longest battle throughout human history since the days of kingdoms, since the days of lordship, since the days of the Dark Ages, that they've been trying to deliberately tack down on information, tack down on any significance of acknowledgement, so that the peasants, the plebes, us people right here don't know about certain information, so that we stay complacent, so we stay in place. We're just dumb slaves the more they censor us, which is exactly what they want. They want us to be fooled. They want us to pound our face in the sand and not understand, not acknowledge what's actually happening right in front of them. Which is why you're having both liberals and Republicans and all sorts of people on the sides of censorship. Even the people that say they're for free speech. Which that really is disgusting. That is really disgusting. If you're really for free speech, then you have to be proudly for free speech. Not cookie cuttering for your best interest. Because that is how things go. And that is how societies thrive. And when you have more censorship, society is not going to thrive. Again, we wouldn't be standing right here in the day that we're in right now, with all the advancements, with all the technology, this microphone, this laptop that I'm recording this on, this video that I'm showing, none of this would happen if we didn't have free speech. That's the vital purpose of it. And trying to restrict that so that they can gain more control is the most heinous evil. And that's the battle that really goes beyond just the election process that we should be facing, that we should be head on standing up and fighting for. Because if they silence Alex Jones or Ben Shapiro or someone you disagree with, wait till they come after you. Wait till they come after you. Wait till they decide something about you. And God knowing they will. They will find something. They're already tracking your phone data. They're already tracking your browser history. They already know what shows you're watching. They know what locations you're at. They will find something to smack you down and take away your rights. Take away you as a civilian. Because that's what we're dealing with right now.